Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I am actor Daniel Day-Lewis, playing the role of Sam Cherry.
Ooh, I am so excited. Can you talk about some of your performances, or is this like you're totally in character the whole time?
Well, Zach, I mean, you know that, of course, actor Daniel Day-Lewis, who I am not, I am Sam Cherry, is very committed to his roles and always stays in character.
Well then,
so Sam Cherry, have not had any roles to talk about.
Wow, this is going to be a good episode to see just how much research you've done on this podcast itself in preparing for this role, because audience, my dear audience, we have so much to talk about today. And let's just hit the ground running. I know you guys are thinking about it. You're asking about it. You're wondering what's going on with HatWorks. And boy, did things get way, way worse.
I cannot believe we blew this story wide open a week before it became national news.
I know,
a week before everyone on the planet found out about HatWorks.
Yeah, it was like they were a powder keg. So to briefly recap, HatWorks is a hat store. That's very important. In fact, it's arguably the most important thing about HatWorks. So HatWorks is a hat store, and recently I messaged Sam about this totally asinine billboard that HatWorks put up, and it's in just a myriad of fonts, and it says, "Warriors of Justice, we ask you please stop trying to cancel the air we breathe, for we live in America, the land of the free. One thing for certain, you will not cancel me." And then to the left of this unholy mishmash of text, there's a hat from like The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie, The Mask. It can
only be described as the hat from The Mask. Yeah.
It's like this, I don't know, fucking Jim Carrey mask hat. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It has a feather in it. It's orange. Anyway.
Like, the Jim Carrey mask hat is yellow, but imagine that.
Yeah.
But orange. That's the hat.
It is a hat that is famous for being the stand-in for the other hat that Jim Carrey wore in that movie had he been wearing an orange suit. So what's important is so on the 29th, something that's not as important, but I think it's important to understand Sam and I's friendship, and that is I was having a bit of a, not necessarily a surprise party, but I didn't know who was going to be invited. It was for my birthday, and I was convinced that Sam was not coming to this party because of the amount of HatWorks things that he was sending me, like via text and Instagram. And I was like, oh, Sam has no idea about this party, because otherwise he'd be saying something other than like, hey, HatWorks stuff. And then you broke the story to me and it became national news. Do you want to fill the audience in on what HatWorks has been doing?
Sure. So because of their sort of perpetual victim complex that I am not unconvinced is a grift. Like, I think what they're trying to do is manufacture cancellation so that they can get publicity. Like, I really do think they saw the sort of like Star Wars lady gets fired, then gets a documentary made about her vibe, and was like, oh, let's get on that cash cow. And they have been sort of manufacturing this cancellation of them.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically around vaccines. I know we've said it. I do want to remind you, the store that sells hats. Anyway, the hat store is really upset about vaccines, and like a lot of the right wing, they want it to be the Holocaust so bad.
Yeah, they need it.
They need this to be the Holocaust, even though it doesn't make any goddamn sense to be that. Because again, in the metaphor, okay, well, let me get to what they did. So they made buttons. Okay, and I have a thing about, okay, so if you look at the picture, well, I'll get to the picture in a second. They made buttons that are, not a joke, yellow stars of David that say not vaccinated. Yellow stars of David, of course, referencing the yellow stars of David Jews had to wear to identify themselves.
And this, to me, feels like something that is dangerously Twitter that has found its way into the real world. Like, that's something that you would put on an alt of an alt account in like a meme format and then be like, liberals won't cancel, like they're going to cancel me for this or whatever, but it doesn't matter because it's a burner account. But this is
not your official business.
Not your official
Instagram.
business Instagram, which sells hats.
So I just one quick thing. I don't have the post up in front of me, so I can't quote it directly. But this is a small detail, but no, I'm never gonna have any other opportunity to talk about this, so I have to bring it up. There is a line where they're like, "We're selling these now." So also they're selling these things.
Yeah,
get into how ridiculous.
So they are selling the Stars of David that say not vaccinated, which I think is where they done fucked up. I think that is.
Well, yeah, I think the Star of David might have been. Well, no, sorry. This is a tiny point. It will never come up otherwise, unless I bring it up. I promise. There's a line in the in the description that says something about how they're like self-adhesive, or they like come with a clip or a magnet or something. Do you have the post in front of you?
No, I'm looking for it on the Twitter machine, but I cannot seem to find it.
Well, anyway, it's something along the lines of this stuff. But you can see in the picture that she does, the owner who is in the picture, who's pictured with the Jewish star, she does just have like a safety pin in her shirt.
Yeah.
So they're not adhesive at all. Like, I know this is a small point but again, it's never going to come. No one's ever going to talk about this except me, so I just have to bring it up.
Yeah, got it.
They're like, it's adhesive.
Patches are here. They turned out great. $5 each. Adhesive back. We'll be offering trucker caps soon.
They're not adhesive back.
Yeah, and you can see the safety pin. Unless, no, I was going to say that'd be really big brain if the safety pin was like a part of the.
No, I don't think so. So again, I know we all know, but if we could just dissect this for 1 second. In the metaphor, let's say in the original, the inciting event, and by that I mean the Holocaust, the Jews were unwillingly forced to wear these markings to show they were Jews, were then discriminated against for being Jews, and later murdered for the status of being Jews. There were also lots of other groups. Of course, famously, gay people had to wear pink triangles, and I don't remember the other ones. But there were lots of these. I think communists had a thing as well. I don't remember. Anyway, so they are saying and this is a thing that I've heard a lot, and I don't want to talk the whole time, but I've heard this a lot, where there is this like mass delusion that
more like a bloody mask delusion, am I right?
A mask delusion, pandemic, am I right?
Yeah.
That you like have to show people your vaccination card. Like, this is not happening. This has never happened to me. This is not I've never heard of this. I mean, maybe it is. Yeah. I don't fucking know.
No, I mean it's.
But like, have you ever encountered this?
No. And as someone that,
no, of course not.
Like, well, like to like live the veil a bit. As someone in a position of power, whenever the communist, guillotine, it will fall on me.
When the revolution comes.
Yeah, as when the revolution comes, it will fall on me. But right now, I can use that to tell you that it is incredibly tricky to broach the subject of someone's vaccine card unless they're offering it up like voluntarily. Because
when would it come up that you would ask?
It would just be like, hey, like, how are you? Like, hey, if we were going to stop wearing masks soon here, what would that look like for you personally? Would you...
Okay, yes. But you could ask someone if they're vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
But
you're not walking into a Trader Joe's, like, having to show your vaccine card or wear it around your neck in a little lanyard.
You don't have to have it.
Yeah.
So, also, so again, so that is the reality. You don't have to show people your vaccine card. In their metaphor, they are making up a new identification to counteract the fictional identification, meaning like, I'm like getting twisted trying to explain it. Basically, like, and you all understand this, listeners. I'm just trying to get my head around this. In their fantasy, this thing that has never happened, everyone who's vaccinated is walking around carrying their vaccine card and like taping it on their shirt. So they are creating a patch to be like, we're not vaccinated, and fuck you.
Yeah.
But also, that makes us like the Jews in the Holocaust, who were, one, not given a choice on whether or not they were Jewish, and two, forced to wear the patches. Like, an outside force was forcing them to wear the patch, and they were being discriminated against for wearing it, and you are making up a patch that no one's asking you to wear to counteract a different, let's call it a patch, like your vaccine card, that also no one is wearing or being asked to wear. And that's why you're like the group that's being discriminated against, even though no one's asking you for your vaccine card, and no one's discriminating against you for not being vaccinated. Like, you don't have to be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure they're deriving it from like one school county in like Massachusetts that asked parents to check a box if their kids were vaccinated, and they're like, yeah, that's the Holocaust. I'm sure that someone, the like 4 right-wingers that still listen to our podcast probably, who is like, well, actually, this in Minnesota, this library made you, and like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the larger fantasy, first of all, the metaphor makes no goddamn sense because you made the patches, which sort of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's happening.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. It's the worst thing ever.
It's
but
awesome.
you know, as people who love a good liar boy and liar girl, it is it's very exciting. I will let you know,
rocks.
I did look up some updates to this, and several of the hat brands that are associated with Hatworks are no longer going to be selling to that business. So,
which they did to themselves on purpose.
You know,
maybe on purpose.
You know, get woke, go broke. That's what I'm saying.
It's fucking crazy because, like, seriously, none of it was like, okay, here's a different example where, like, what's the guy's name?
Kevin Spacey.
No, but it rhymes with that. What's his name? Anyway, the guy who started Chick-fil-A, whose name I know, but I don't remember. Anyway, he was, like, asked point blank in an interview, if I'm remembering this right. He was asked in an interview about, like, does Chick-fil-A discriminate against gay people? And he was like, no, we don't discriminate against gay people in our hiring, but I think it's wrong, and I don't support gay marriage. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Anyway, in that context, he is being asked a question about his beliefs. He shared his beliefs. There are beliefs people didn't like, and so people still to this day make jokes about or actually feel that they won't eat at Chick-fil-A, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Hatworks people just fucking volunteered all of this.
Yeah.
Like, they bought the billboards and the signs, and again, it's also in Nashville. It's not like they're in a minority where, like, tons of people don't wear and didn't wear masks all through the pandemic, and, like, businesses didn't wear them, or they would sort of wear them but keep them, like, on their chin. Like, it was fucking buck wild out here. Nobody cared about the pandemic at all. At all. And so it was so easy. That's the other part that makes it crazy, is that it's in Nashville. Like, dude, the pandemic barely registered here. Like, a lot of people got it and died, or just got it. I mean, I know dozens of people that got COVID. My wife and I also got COVID. Like, but the fact that it's like, yo, if you would just shut the fuck up, none of this would happen. Like, no one asked for any of this, and like, and they even got away with all the not got away with, whatever. You can have whatever political views you want, but like, they had all the Trump billboards and all the Trump banners, and like, no one gave a shit. It was totally fine.
Yeah.
And they even put out the weirdo billboard, and like, it was fine.
yeah, and it was.
And they're like,
it was reaching a boiling point. It was only a matter of time.
And again, more and more evidence of like, no, you're obviously not persecuted against for your beliefs because you've been wilding out for like 2 years, and no one except Sam and Zach know who you are or what you're doing. So,
well,
like,
that's changed now, but
I know, but that's what I'm saying is so crazy. Like, they got themselves canceled. My guess is that it was on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, what's crazy, and again, it just like warps my brain. They got themselves canceled because they insisted too often and too loudly and in more and more insane ways that they were being canceled.
Yeah.
They weren't, but they like manifested it like The Secret, where they're like, if I just keep saying I'm canceled in more and more ridiculous ways, eventually it will happen. And they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking wild. It's cool and funny.
Yeah,
but it's also
and now there's a bunch of protesters outside of their place. Probably paid
DSA
protesters by freaking Jeff Bezos. Am I right?
Wait, what'd you say?
I said probably paid protesters. That's paid there because no one really cares. Like you said, they're probably just getting pay to protest.
Well,
I've seen
to be
it.
fair, it's the Middle Tennessee DSA. I believe DSA is out there protesting fascism or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I agree with I don't care. It's not like I have a problem with it, but it's kind of like I'm pretty sure this is the attention they want. I don't.
Yeah.
I think this is what they're looking for. I really don't know if this is helpful.
Yeah. Now
we should just call them dorks and losers. I feel like that's better.
Yeah.
I don't, or maybe I don't
know. We're helping. This is our version of protesting, which we are by calling them dorks and losers, because it is like such a pitiful attempt at like.
It is loser shit. I mean, what they're doing is absolute loser shit.
No, making a Star of David and then say not vaccinated, that's loser shit. That is like full-time, real-time. Like, yeah, like the thing you said at the beginning really hit the nail on the head of like, they are manifesting their own victim complex. They need it so bad that they themselves are voluntarily putting them in this like very terrible position, because like their craniums are just such that they feel like, well, this is going to happen to us anyway, so might as well beat the curve.
And or it's already happening. And they're screaming about how they're being canceled louder and louder until it's like, okay, you're right. And okay, can I all right, I don't want to let's have a funny podcast this week. But okay, here's the thing. I thought about this the other day. I like connected these two dots in my head. Maybe this is obvious, but what's wild to me about like this brand of culture is there are two sides that coexist in a way that it seems impossible, which is, and I don't know if maybe it was one and then the other, or if it feels like it was one and then the other, but maybe both of these have just been existing the whole time. I guess they have. Which is, number one, I want to own the libs. Which essentially means I want to make people mad on purpose. Right?
Yeah.
And number two, we're so PC that you can't say anything anymore. Which essentially means I say things that make people mad, and then they don't like me.
Yeah.
And it's wild that in the same ecosystem, those two mentalities can exist. Where like, I'm going to make people mad on purpose, and then stand back. I'm going to explicitly make people mad on purpose. Like, my point is that I'm going to make people mad on purpose. And then stand back and be like, what the hell is going on in this country? Everyone's mad at me. It's like, but you did it on purpose.
Yeah,
I don't know. It twists my brain around.
Yeah, it probably just shifts with audiences. Like you own the libs to the libs, but then when you're like, regrouping,
then when the libs are mad.
No, well, when you're regrouping with your other terrible friends, you're like, man, you can't say anything anymore. And then they're like, man.
Is always a statement I like to parse with people, where it's just like, okay, well, what do you mean exactly? Like, you can't say anything. Well, you can. You're not going to get, like, summarily executed for it. So what do you mean? Oh, well, people get mad. Okay, well, why do they get mad? Because they're PC. And when you talk about being politically correct, well, I'm sorry, this is so boring, but I'm gonna go through it because I don't know if I've done it on the show, and I don't have another opportunity. So when you say politically correct, well, what do you mean? Okay, well, the term politically correct comes from a very real thing, which is politicians say what they want people to hear, or what people want to hear, but they don't really mean it. So you don't say what you mean. That's the other half of it, right? You're not saying what you mean. You're saying what would be politically correct. What would be correct from a political stance, even though you don't mean it. So when people talk about being politically correct, the implication is, well, of course, everyone agrees with me, but they're too scared to actually say it. So no, people aren't being politically correct. They just disagree with you. But saying, you can't say anything anymore because everyone's so politically correct is like, oh, well, I will, is like, okay, well, no, what's really happening is people disagree with you. People hate what you're saying or disagree with what you're saying, and then they get mad when you say it because they don't like it. People don't like what you're saying, and they get mad when you say it. That's what that statement is. which again, put next to own the libs, which is make people mad on purpose. It's just like, so what do you want? Like, you're like, oh yeah, I pwned them. They got so mad. And then it's like, oh, I'm not invited to Thanksgiving because everyone's so PC. Like, no, you're an asshole. Like, you're being an asshole, and no one wants to be around you because you're being an asshole explicitly on purpose.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. All right, let's do some jokes.
It's. I was gonna
say.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of politically correct, I bought a Prius. Got one.
Hey!
Got him, dude. I got it. It's
Wait a minute. Does it have the center console thing?
It does not have the center console thing. I found one without
God.
it. Yeah, no. And when I drive past other people I know have the center console, I'm like, you really missed out, or like not
Fucking
even missed out. It's
moron.
like you're a fucking moron. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to shill for the Prius V. V stands for versatile, which might as well stand for very big. It's like a small SUV. It's great. It's got tons of room, and it has.
Is it a hybrid or electric?
It is a hybrid. It has so much storage. It has so much storage. It is like way more than I would think that a car could even have. Like, I'm zipping around. I'm opening up. I have 2 glove compartments. And I have like a secret cup holder, and I have on top of each other even.
I'm looking at the interior. Oh yeah, you sure do.
Yeah, and there's like a bunch of stuff there's like a bunch of containers in the back, and I'm actually
containers in the back.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the interior as well on here.
Where's the secret cup holder?
The secret cup holder is in between, or it's in that middle console area, and you can just kind of pull it out. And you can pull the cup holder part of it out of it, so it's just oh, that's weird.
What?
There's I haven't noticed.
Yes.
I haven't noticed this here before. It looks like there's a secret compartment. And what's this
Tell
in
me
the
about
secret compartment? Oh my gosh, it's the secret man.
Fuck yes.
Hello everyone.
Oh,
Welcome to The Secret Man. It is our Zach's Secret Book Club. It is a book club on this show
Closing
where
all my other tabs.
I talk about The Secret Man, written by Frank Dux. It is an American Warriors uncensored story. To give people a brief recap, honestly, yeah, a recap. To give people a brief,
it's a bad book.
To give people a brief recap, Frank Dux is famous for him making up a story where he was in this underground fighting tournament called the Kumite, where he had this story spun into a movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and the story is so clearly a lie. It is a lie, and it's based off like Jet Li's Enter the Dragon. Like it is so clearly a lie. And
the movie's called Bloodsport, by the way.
Yeah, the movie is called Bloodsport.
You guys know that, but
yeah, check it out. But Frank decided to double down on this lie, and he came out with a book where he is claiming that he is a secret agent, not only a secret agent, but one that is so secret that the CIA and the FBI and the Army and everybody, they actually keep him off the books everywhere because he is the only one that can do all of these missions. And this book is just his uncensored story. It's him recounting some of his best stories, and I'm very excited to tell you that in this episode, we're finally going to get into the plot of the book.
Oh wow, we're like what, 6 chapters in?
Yes, we are. We are a couple chapters in. We're about 100 pages. We're actually 10 chapters in.
Jesus Christ!
When last we left our hero, Frank was in LA, and there was a Russian KGB Soviet deal gone wrong. And Frank was not involved at all, but rather he was watching from the sidelines,
behind a
just
dumpster?
kind of it was actually behind a mail truck, just kind of like watching this unfold. And he was to report it back to Bill Casey, who is the head of the CIA and his boss.
Was he dressed like Mario, or is that us?
Yes, he was dressed. I think it might have been a delivery truck, actually, but he was dressed like a delivery guy, which is actually something that we will get into in just a moment, which I'm very excited to share with you.
So cool.
But that is where our hero is now, and it seems that there has been a string of murders happening in St. Louis. So Bill Casey, his boss, because Bill Casey is like, Frank, you're the best kissing, biggest muscle, dick having man I have on the force, and I need you to go to St. Louis. And so we catch up with our hero in East St. Louis. So our hero goes to East St. Louis. And the reason for it actually took me 2 reads to find out why he was in St. Louis. But it is because there is someone has been doing a string of murders, and they have been using Russian guns. So it's somehow, some way, Russian weapons are getting into America, and they're being used by criminals. And so he's got to find out why.
Like AK-47s?
No, like these, like the way he describes them is they're like these big ass handguns. They're like 50, like 20 or 30 pounds. Like these way too big handguns.
I know we just got into it, and this always happens, but fucking why would they do that?
I don't know.
Why would they do it? If you're trying to be a serial murderer who works for the KGB,
well, no, I don't.
Why would you bring a gun that only you all have?
It's actually not a serial murder. We're gonna get into it.
Okay.
So
cool. Love it. Big gun. He's
so
like the octopus from The Spirit.
Yeah, so he's looking for a big gun. He's looking for a big gun used by bad boys. And he spends the first couple of pages just shitting on St. Louis. He is just this is the dirtiest town in the world. Like, it used to be cool, but now with the crime and everything, this is just a total shithole. Like, St. Louis is the worst. And it goes on for, as you might imagine, way too long. He also compares St. Louis to hell, this place was a living theater, was set right out of West Side Story, and I had front row tickets. What? Dork shit to say.
West Side Story, they don't live in, like, they just live in apartments, right?
Yeah, but it's full of crime and, full
of
yeah. West Side Story,
like I guess there's two gangs.
People get murdered left and right in West Side Story.
I thought it was like, all right.
Okay, so we find our hero, and he's looking for these Russian bullets fired from a Russian gun, and there is a moment where I feel, because once again, listeners, members of the book club, it is extremely important to me that anytime I see something highlighted by the previous owner of this book, I have to read it. And I'm beginning to gather a sense of the person that was reading this book before me. And Sam, I think that you and them would get along very well.
Because they're insane.
So we have a couple of pages here where it says, it's just him talking about the FBI and how bad they are, and the CIA and how bad they are. And he says
he works for the CIA.
Oh, okay. The far-reaching power of the agency to alter facts, even squash police reports and criminal investigations, or mysteriously misplace people. The agency's unwavering perseverance and sponsorship of secret programs dedicated to training police officers in defiance of the National Security Act of 1947, which forbids the agency to exercise any police, subpoena, law enforcement powers, or internal security function. Basically, he's talking about how the CIA and the FBI have infiltrated all the forms of policing in America. And he spends the next 2 pages going on about how bad the CIA is, which makes me think, brother, don't you work for the CIA?
Right.
Like,
I agree with you, but I think
it's part of Frank Dux's thing, where, as we remember from the beginning, he is such a bad boy that he, doesn't swear an oath to anybody. He swears oath to no one. And because of that, he's like, yeah, so I can see how this is probably a bad people, but I'm just using them because, I have my good guy with a gun moral compass, and although, like, they're the bad guys and the police are the bad guys and the Russians are the bad guys, I'm the good guy, and only I can, only I can do what's right, but I have to use their, money, I guess. The entire time I've been talking, my little robot from an unnamed superstore has been like blinking, so I feel that I am in some pretty hot water just by the sheer virtue of reading Frank Dux's True Tales.
Or just our Langley listeners they're getting a sneak peek of the episode. They're like, like, we can't wait.
Oh shit! It was when I started talking about Secret Man. It was like, oh shit.
Okay, I don't know if we've ever addressed this about Frank, but first of all, I'm just waiting for the day that he tries to sue us for libel, because I think that would mean in a court of law he would have to prove that any of this is true.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot. But number two, something we've never like dealt with about Frank is, okay, so he has no code.
No, I'm sorry. He has his own code, but he doesn't swear any oaths.
I know he has his own code.
He's a modern day paladin. Like he has such a strong moral compass that he's like, I'm never signing a contract with anybody, because once you have a contract, they can tell me what to do, and I'm never going to do that.
I understand that. But keep that thought in your head. Mm-hmm. Also think about how much he hates the CIA and the FBI. I don't really remember why he's doing this.
Yeah. Well,
what's the motivation?
I don't know, because even in the last chapter here, he's talking about like Bill Casey just like, for lack of a better term, like outdicks him and just like makes him go. Like he's
That's
like,
what I mean. It's like, I remember Bill Casey being like, I need you as my secret man. But like, I don't remember why.
Maybe it's just because like Frank I think that Frank thinks himself to be some sort of like a rogue James Bond type that is like, or like even like I
understand why Frank the real man would make this up. I don't understand why Frank the character...
so you're saying that Frank the character has bad character motivations in this book? Yeah. You're you know what? You might be right. Actually, there's some holes in this.
No, but I'm saying like because I'm looking at it, of course, from the perspective of like, well, this is made up, and Frank is just trying to sound cool. But I don't understand from a story. I'm critiquing him as a story writer. I'm saying like, what is the character Frank's motivation if he is so adamantly anti-establishment? He doesn't seem to be gaining anything from this.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's working with CIA.
I don't know. It doesn't.
Maybe that'll come about.
He's spending so much time away from his dojo, and I'm actually going to reveal another thing he's been spending time away from. But we rejoin our hero in St. Louis, and so if you're looking for an illegal Russian gun, where would you think the first place that you go is if you're Frank Dux, the secret man?
Russian people.
You know what? Actually, that is a very good guess. But the first place he goes is any random pawn shop. He walks in the pawn shop and then just immediately starts asking about guns. And it's just like, hey, do you got any illegal guns in there? And the guy says, I ain't got shit. And then he's like, well, has someone been trying to pawn off like a weird gun on you recently? And he said, yeah, about a week or two, this guy named, and I'm not making this up, a guy named Toots.
Tight.
You know where I might find Toots? Hangs out at the Red Ace when he ain't got anything better to do, which is most of the time. Zinger, got him.
Fucking got him. Toots fucking dead AF. So Toots is killing people with this gun.
Yeah, Toots
needs to get rid of it, but instead of like the Irishman just throwing it in the river, he tries to sell it?
He tries to pawn it off, yeah.
That's very stupid.
Yeah, Toots is not a very smart guy.
Feels like you should just throw it in the river, huh? Not show your face and you with the gun to another person.
So Toots is not a smart guy, but Frank does go to this bar to see if he can find him. And then Frank does begin to ask people at the bar like about Toots, and they're like,
is it Toots?
It's Toots. Toot, Toots.
Okay, Toots.
So Toots, he's asking around about Toots, and everyone is like being really cold to him. And then he starts buying them drinks, and it's like, and they were putty in my hands, these fucking hillbillies. Like, and he's like talking down about everyone. He's talking down about everyone in the bar because they can be bought off by drinks so easily for information. And then,
I mean, who amongst us?
Exactly. So Toots walks in. Oh no! And then Frank.
Wait, and he knows what Toots looks like?
Well, I think the bartender is like, there he is. There's Toots. I'm a dumb yokel, and I'm telling you everything you need to know. Yeah. So Toots goes.
My name's Carl Exposition, and I'm the bartender.
Yeah. So he sees Toots, and he's like, "Hey, Toots, I got a question for you." And then Toots runs outside because he doesn't want to get asked by no lawman. And he can see that Frank is so strong, and it'll probably beat him up. So he runs outside to go catch up with Toots, and he's like, "Hey, I got a question for you." And this is when things get a little. I think that the language that Frank uses here when describing Toots is leaves very little to be desired, but a lot to criticize. He says,
"Is this gonna get racist?"
You bet your ass.
We've never talked about Frank Dux being racist, but as soon as that thought came into my head, I was like, "Oh yeah, that tracks totally."
But the only reason I bring it up is because I've seen rumblings of this throughout the entire book, and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like he's like an old dude. He's like who thinks he's better than everybody at martial arts, and he's a white guy that's like, "I'm better than everyone at martial arts," and it's like, okay, you probably
not Japanese.
Yes.
And he's got a weird complex about not being Japanese. And he did that weird
thing about being not Japanese. You're right. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall, and now the writing is in the book.
Okay.
So
tell me about Toots.
So, he is asking him. He said, he offers him a beer to tell him about, like, he's like, "Come and talk to me." And then the guy is like, "Shut up, I don't have time for you, asshole." And then he says, "That a way to talk to a guy who just offered you a beer?" And then Frank said, the guy says, "Shit." And shit,
you jive turkey,
is spelled SHEEIT. Shit.
So now okay, I was gonna say this earlier, but I didn't want to be annoying. When you said, "Yeah, the city used to be great, but then there's all this crime," I thought, it's St. Louis.
Yeah.
Does Frank just mean black people? Is that what Frank means? There are more black people in this town?
It is not outwardly stated, but it is inferred. Once again, Frank, when you're listening back to this, when you are suing
when they're
us,
playing this in court,
allegedly, I'm just reading the book, and I'm just saying what is in the page, and I'm inferring meaning.
I don't know.
As any good critic does.
I don't know what laws are about libel, Your Honor, as you're listening to this in court. I don't understand what libel laws are, but I'm pretty sure giving your opinion or speculation on whether or not someone's racist, a thing you can't objectively prove.
Yeah.
I can't, if I said, and this is parody, well, it's not parody, it's just an example. If I said he committed fraud, we've probably said shit like that. I have no idea. Anyway, I feel like we can't, the book is fiction. And the only way that it would be liable is if it was fact, and he had to
prove that it was true.
Right. Whereas I'm talking about sort of the character.
Yeah,
Frank,
the character Frank Dux is racist.
My criticism of the author is that he is writing a fictional book and pretending it happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I
can critique Holden Caulfield all day,
sure,
but that doesn't mean that I'm. It would be one thing if J.D. Salinger was like, "That's me. I'm Holden Caulfield," and all this happened to me. I go, "Oh, you're kind of a shitty dude, huh?"
Well, and I guess my only thing that could be could be liable, maybe, again, Your Honor, I don't understand laws, is me calling him a liar. But once again, to prove he's not a liar, he would have to prove
he
that
will
any
have
of
to
this
prove
is true.
that this happened. Yeah, he will
and
have
I feel
to.
pretty secure that it didn't. So I actually am not worried about. And I don't know how the law works, but anyway, Gladulus and Frank.
So
anyway, go on.
Kind of getting back into it. So Frank, because if we've established this is fiction, Frank, the character, says something that only someone in fiction would say after hearing, shit, I ain't got nothing illegal, something
From The
dope.
Wire.
Frank said, because remember the gun is heavy. I could tell he had something heavy down the front of his pants by the way he moved. Got a load in your pants? I asked.
Bow, 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 bow.
I'm going to read this. I'm just going to read this as it's written.
Okay,
a lot bigger than what you, a lot bigger than the one you're carrying, pencil dick white motherfucker.
That sucks so bad.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad. But the reason I bring this up is because I was gonna let it fly. I was gonna let it fly, Frank, had it not been for this little juicy paragraph that follows that interaction.
Oh God.
They had picked the wrong guy for those types of comments. I could have told them that I knew all about racism. I had generations of it stored up in my blood. My parents had been victims, their families in prison, tortures, and executed because of their race, and nothing more. And so he's Jewish, if you recall.
I do not recall that.
Yes, so Frank is Jewish. He talks about it very briefly in a chapter. It's a blink and you miss it sort of vignette he has on that.
All right, I'm tracking with you, Frank. Yeah, sure. The Jews have been oppressed, as we mentioned earlier in the episode. Sure.
So he says that, and I think he set himself up for that volley, for that spike. That he was gonna be like, I'm gonna set the record straight on my views by inventing this fake character with a giant gun in his pants, so I can kind of have a platform with which I can say my views.
What he wants to put out is, number one, his weird self-conscious anxiety about black men having bigger penises.
Yeah.
Number two,
yeah.
He wants to establish
because that is what offends him. That is the thing that gets him. It's nothing else. That's nothing the things that he has thought or said, but it is someone insinuating that he is not the biggest dick person in this exchange. And that is what sets him off and goes like, "How dare you? How dare you? I'm not the one being racist here. It's you."
But also, he wants to establish two things. One, he's not racist because he's Jewish, which I don't think is how it works. But number two, he does think black people are bad. Like both are happening. Where he's like, I'm not racist, but just so we're clear, black people are bad. It's like, oh, okay, weird.
Don't clip that, Frank.
Please don't clip that, Your Honor. That was out of context. I don't think that. I was expressing the views of the fictional character, Frank.
Yeah,
I like this new character, the judge, that is in these segments now.
So, what happens from this is the Toots, being the character that he is, attempts to steal the jacket from Frank, which, as we know, as the audience, is a bad move. So
he's got bombs in his shoes.
So he goes to steal the jacket from Frank. But
Wait, why? Just because he's a criminal?
Just because he's a criminal.
Fucking sucks.
He's just because he's a criminal, and Frank wants to set this up. So
yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So it's like, I think as the audience, we're supposed to go, oh no, this guy doesn't know what he's done. Frank, the guy attempts to remove his jacket, and Frank starts to beat him up with a weapon, and I will give you two guesses as to what the secret weapon that Frank has is.
Okay. I don't think he's gonna kill this guy in the street, so it's probably a blunt object. My first guess
I want to read what he has to say right before.
Do I want to give my two guesses?
No, but I want to help you out. I'm gonna volley you into it.
Okay.
I had the most dependable weapon besides my body out in a flash. What is it?
Okay, my first guess is nunchucks.
Okay. That is
and
incorrect.
My second
you got to think what's something that anyone would have on them at any point in time, because Frank is so so like combat ready because anything can be a weapon.
So it's not, well, anyone would have. I'm thinking in anyone the context would have. Of the story.
I have it on me right now. You probably have it on you as well.
Oh, I don't. But is it a belt?
No, it is not. It is a credit card folded in half with the two corners bent back on one end to form a tip rigid and evil enough to cut and gouge. So he apprehends both these dudes with a gun.
Both these dudes?
Yeah, oh no, wait. Yeah, no, his friend's there too. I forgot to mention that.
What?
Yeah, so
fine.
So he takes down
he calls
two
him
guys.
A jive turkey or something, whatever.
He takes down both of these guys with a credit card, and then midway through this interaction of Frank beating up these guys in a credit card, he does say something here, which is, besides credit cards, my arsenal included unlikely weapons. One of my old buddies used to call me Man of Steel, but not because I was any Superman. I used to carry a hell of a lot of steel with me. I kept a steel comb handy. In skilled hands, a comb could be more painful and debilitating than a knife, and raking could ensure serious damage. Yeah, he also has a steel pin and some other bullshit. But yeah, what's important
we need to get back to the credit card. How does he, with all of Frank's descriptions?
He folds it in half, and so I don't fucking know.
Then he pins it back in two corners?
Yeah, so we are not going to get to the other chapter of this.
No fucking way, because he always does this where he's like, he just explain, like it's like where he punched through the brick and we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out what he means.
I was telling Carrie earlier, I was like, my goal is 2 chapters.
No way.
So, so he gets his credit card out, credit card folded in half with the two corners bent back on one end to form a tip. I don't know, man. And
like
also,
a paper airplane?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because a paper airplane is what
it's so asinine and so out of my range of what he could possibly be thinking that he is thinking that people reading this would be like, oh, hell yeah, that's such a badass thing. Right. And it's just confusing. Like, what are you talking about?
That would be really small. I think what he's talking about is taking it, fold it laterally, right, to get like basically a square, and then you take the two front corners and then you go back to the end, and then you have basically a triangle or like a paper airplane.
Brother,
very small.
Yeah, and brother, just carry if you're carrying
have a knife. Yeah,
if you're carrying around a bent ass credit card, you're not in this interaction while he was taking your jacket. Did you bend the credit card like that? No,
has to.
I guess so.
Because otherwise then it's not a credit card.
Otherwise he couldn't have got the drinks at the bar.
But that's what I'm saying is like, if you do that, you might as well have a knife, because otherwise you just have a shitty knife. It's not a credit card if you bend it like that. Like, you can't use it as a credit card, so you just only have it as this weapon you're carrying.
Yeah, it's completely useless.
He must be doing it in the moment, bending a credit card in two different ways.
Yeah,
I love Frank so much.
Yeah, he's the best. He's a real Man of Steel. Anyway, he retrieves the gun. He gets it. It's a Soviet 9mm semi-automatic pistol. It's got a big ass gun. Who cares? So anyway, he's talking to the guy. The guy has been bested. So when you've been bested, you have to give over all your information. And so he asked the guy where he got the gun, and he said he just found it. Like, he just found it in a trash can. So I'm thinking that you have a similar thing where a smarter person before them threw away the gun in a trash can, and this guy found it, tried to pawn it off, couldn't do it, and then now he's getting his ass kicked by Frank Dux and his American Express.
Okay, can I was a little surprised when you said 9mm, because that's not a particularly big gun. And this is a small gun.
I don't know, man. It's a Soviet 9mm Makarov.
Makarov. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean,
let me
see it in somebody's hands.
The gun standard sidearm for Soviet infantry was heavy as a son of a gun. That's good. That's a good joke, Frank.
Maybe it was. Now I'm looking at someone's hands. It looks like a normal size, like a handgun.
I don't know, man. He's making it seem like this kid or whomever he was robbing like was struggling to hold it because, you know,
with a handgun.
You're not following Frank's logic here of no one is as strong as him. So everyone that is holding something like his bar for strength is shit that normal people do. So when he writes other people, they have to be able to not do the things that he does, which is baseline normal. You understand?
Okay, but here's the thing, boss. It's 730 grams or 26 ounces is the mass of a Markov.
My man, you got to understand that Frank.
Why would you?
Frank thinks that because he can hold this gun and he is such a big, strong boy that no one else can hold the gun as well as he can.
Okay, you're gonna have to go on, but that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, Franklin. He also, this is a thing, and I find too many things in it to comment on, and I think that's the problem. So Frank takes the gun, and then there's this really weird moment, which it's been chock full of weird moments, but this one jumped out to me. I gave him a half-hearted kick in the groin. He went down, gave a spasm, then vomited in the street. I picked up my coat,
sexual energy.
dusted it off, and left my attackers lying on the sidewalk, whimpering immaculately. Or like, yeah. So basically,
he emasculated them. That was the whole point.
So it's this weird unnecessary moment where he kicks him in the dick, and then like the guy has a spasm, then throws up, and then falls down. It's like a comedy. Like it's too much.
Well, again, because the whole psychosexual undertones is like, it was this black guy, and then he's got a big dick, and also he's a criminal, but I'm not racist because I'm Jewish. But then I beat him up, and then also I kicked him in the dick because I'm the strong one. And when I kicked him, he cried like a baby.
Yeah,
it's just like a weird. I don't know. The gun is 1.6 pounds. For everybody at home.
Yeah, but it was weighing down his trousers.
Hey everybody, it's Sam from the future. Just wanted to offer a correction. Turns out the Markov is pretty heavy for a handgun. Not to say that this story makes any sense, and why the KGB, if they're doing clandestine murders, would use a gun so easily traceable to them. I'm not sure, but Frank got me on this one. It is in fact a heavy for a handgun.
Yeah. So basically, so this is a really good, what I would consider, like a teaser.
Okay.
And, so once again, this is, as far as I can tell, this is the last chapter that has fuck all to do with anything. Like this is the chapter that it's like, all right, let's get this on the road, Frank. Like we get it. You kicked a guy in the dick. He's going back to LA, and he's thinking on the plane ride over, he's thinking like, who could have had this gun? What's going on with this? Yada, yada. And then he says, but now I could sense his presence, the unseen fish hovering just outside of view, just deep enough to be masked by the shadows, but whose presence was unmistakable and sensed with certainty by the astute fisherman. So if you remember earlier in the book, it opened up on a chapter where he had a villain named Fish, which is his Moriarty in this situation. And so Frank has now deemed himself the fisherman. And so this, apart from the first chapter, is the first time we get Fish, a reference to him. And I was just like, finally. I was like,
now we're here.
Finally. Like, let's get this show on the road. I'm so excited. Clearly, if I even were to start the next chapter, it would be a whole situation. So, I because I've read it, I promise you guys, next week, there's some really great stuff in there. He makes a reference to Royal Crown and Coca-Cola and has his own opinions listed about that. He makes a reference to.
You mean RC Cola? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, RC Cola. He makes a reference to how his hair is real and devotes a whole paragraph to that. There's just
what the fuck?
There is a lot of great stuff happening in the next few chapters. So and it's the first time that we get a real sense of what is going on in the wider world, and like basically what the Secret Man is going to be secretly doing for the rest of the book.
That is wonderful. I am so excited. I am now reading a bunch of pages about how heavy guns are because I'm pretty confused.
Did you want to briefly talk about so when you saw me at my party, you did reference something that Frank has been up to recently, that if we want to stay, as long as we're staying current, I want the audience to kind of know what Frank is up to.
So Frank's been on one on Twitter. I think we maybe have talked about this article because it just seems so familiar. But basically he was on one on Twitter and he was posting all about,
and Frank doesn't post all that often, so when this happens, it's sent directly to my phone.
Yeah, it was all about like basically, he had been proven correct, and that someone had written an article all about how his teacher, the master that we never ever talked about his name, but the teacher who said he wasn't Japanese was real, and there was proof of it. And so he links to this article. So I read through the article, and the article is definitely weirdly written. And it's all about how, like, yeah, everybody thought Frank Dux was a dumb liar, but actually he was right and it was true, and he's cool. Now, astute listeners, you might be already guessing. When I scrolled up to the top, the article was written by Frank Dux himself. Which was very weird.
It's so good because, yeah, as Sam said, he like was talking about a third party found out that it's like, because when you told me about this at the party, Frank has been on this bullshit for a while, where like people have so many times accused him of making up his coach or teacher or whatever, because his teacher, his name is like something terrible. It's like the Golden Tiger or something, and it's just like, all right, Frank, that's even for you. That's like,
we've been calling him the master, and that's way less racist than whatever he said.
Yeah, no, it's something like that, and then people are just like, hey, this didn't happen, and maybe this is like, because there's so much other egregious shit that he does that I feel like maybe I need to pay more attention to this one, but I feel like within the martial arts community, that is like one of the ones that people keep harping on him about. And
well, it was that the guy like didn't exist at all. And then his proof in the article that he wrote, I believe, is that like, no, here's a flight log that shows this dude ever lived, or someone with his name was alive. And it's like, well, that's not really my concern.
Yeah, because you could have just made up any old name, or like, and I think like the idea is that. Okay, he knows martial arts, so I'm assuming he has a teacher.
He does know martial arts.
But that would like get away from his mythos, you know? So he can't just be like, oh, I was taught by some dude in LA. Like,
I went to a strip mall and they taught me Taekwondo.
Yeah, it has to be some mythical figure that has like bestowed him with like, you're the avatar. you're the biggest, most special boy, Franklin.
Yeah.
And
with the whole revenge arc as well.
Yeah. So like, I think, I think that, he could just make someone up, you know, and it doesn't, because you can find any name and be like, this person was a super big badass boy.
Right. Right. Just like the CIA and just like the Kumite, it's like, yeah, but it's secret.
Yeah.
He was doing secret martial arts for some reason, and so that's why you guys have never heard of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, it was just really funny to see that he was talking about it as if it was a third party, and then to read the article, notice a lot of the bizarre Frank tics. I've never read a word of his writing except this article, but just even hearing the quotes from you and hearing about the book, I'm just like, this article's weird. The person writing this, it gives me a weird vibe. And then I scroll up and like, oh, it was Frank. Never mind. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Everything's in line.
Yeah. So he's on one.
He's doing great.
He's making moves. So we got to get through this book.
Come on the pod, coward.
Yes. Yeah. Come on the show. Our 100th episode. Come on the show.
I wouldn't even call you a coward. I take that back. Come on the pod.
Yeah.
You're great. We love you.
Yeah, I love Frank, and also he can't possibly be a coward because he is to write this of yourself and hold to it with such intensity, like you have to really be like the biggest, strongest boy. Like I could never do this.
Yeah, of all the things Frank is, not a coward.
No, not
a liar for sure.
Yeah,
Your Honor, but not a coward.
But yeah, I'm very excited to continue to really show you what the point of this book is as he's moving in. It's basically I give you a little teaser, not necessarily a spoiler, but it's a made up super weapon. It is
you gave me a teaser earlier where you said people have said this technology doesn't exist.
Yeah, so it's
I can't wait.
Yeah, so basically what I found is he thinks it's a certain type of super weapon, but then because he's a secret man, he finds out that it is an even much worse secret weapon, and cool. Very James Bond, but James Bond who doesn't take any bullshit. No more bullshit.
From what intelligence has gathered, it would be 9/11 times 100.
9/11 times 100? Jesus, that's...
Yes, 91,100.
Yeah, but the funny thing, we will get into it next week, but he does something that is egregious, and like I know everything he does is egregious, but for some reason this one like really rubbed me the wrong way, and I was just like, what the hell? I think that is that's all I got for the Secret Man. So
I love it.
We're at about that time. So
and also the Preds lost and we're not in the Stanley Cup, and I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, well then we won't talk. The Lakers also lost. My sweet boy LeBron James is out of it as well. No more sports talk for a while. Anyway, that's our show. Thank you all so much for listening to Get Better. If you want to find more of our content, you can find us on Instagram at Get Better Podcast. That's at Get_Better_Podcast. And if you want to find more of our stuff as well, you can find us on YouTube, where we have our full episodes as well as little clips that you can share around. And you can also email us at meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. That is meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. That's all the ways you can get in contact with us. But another way that you can share your support is if you're listening to us on Spotify, please continue to listen to us on Spotify. But if you're listening to us on iTunes, it would be really helpful if you would leave a rate and review. It really helps to get us noticed. And I think that's all I have. So see you guys next week.
All right.
See you, bye forever.